So good afternoon, good morning, wherever your home may be. We are so thankful to have all of you here today. My name is Emily Cabbage, and I am the Senior Director of Marketing and Communications at NAIFA, and I will be your staff liaison through this journey of our Future Leaders Program for the summer 2023. And so, like I said, very excited to have all of you here today. And if you're watching this on demand, feel free to catch up, and we'll get to know you virtually as well. So starting off today, we have John D. Richardson, who is a native from Nashville, Tennessee. And he's going to tell you a little bit about his story and also about kind of some of the basics of the industry and just kind of learning all the different ways that you can go in this wonderful, flexible career of insurance and financial planning. So without any further ado from me, I'll turn it over to John, but actually I thought of one more thing in true fashion that I am going to have everybody on mute, but we do encourage you to either use the chat feature and ask questions as John's going along. So if you don't want to forget something, or at the end, if we've got time, we will also open it up for Q&A. So you can get some opportunities to talk one-on-one with Mr. Richardson. So John, over to you.
Thanks, Emily. And if you guys could do me a favor, this is an awesome opportunity for you to get to meet me before you become a NAIFA member. I know that Emily, if she hasn't asked you to join NAIFA, she will, because it's kind of like one of those things where if you're going to be in this career, you might as well hang with the other rock stars in our industry and learn what they're doing. And regardless of what career path you take, which we're going to talk about today, NAIFA is the common thread. NAIFA is the common denominator. So whether you decide to go into the investment space or the insurance space or car and homeowners insurance or property and casualty or whatever your career choice is, or perhaps maybe you're a wholesaler and you want to work with the advisor who then works with the client. So you're kind of one step removed. Whatever path you take, NAIFA is the common denominator. It's the largest, it's the oldest, it's the best financial advisor association in the nation. We've been doing it right for about what, 130, 140 years, Emily? Does that sound about right? About 130 years. So if you guys can do me a favor.
133 to be exact.
Oh, 133 to be exact. So here's the scoop. I'm here in Nashville, Tennessee, and I'm talking to my camera and having a conversation with you guys. But what I see is a field of black boxes with white names on it, and I don't know who you guys are. And hopefully you're in a place where you're not driving. But wherever you are, if you could, you don't have to talk to me, but I do like to make eye contact as I go through this presentation. Otherwise, it's like I'm talking to a bunch of robots. So if you could turn on your camera real quick, and you don't have to talk, but just so as I'm going through my material, you're nodding and I'm connecting with you. Thank you, Tyler. I appreciate that. Anthony, I see you. Chase, Jero, Isabel, and Kyle. Again, I had just true story. One of the people, thanks, Anthony. One of the people who actually went through this process. Hey, what's up, Kyle? Went through this process about a year or so ago, mentioned afterwards, because I'll put this out to you. I want you guys to go on to LinkedIn and to look me up, John D. Richardson on LinkedIn. She did this. Her name is Bailey. And we started a conversation. We put down, give me a top 10 people that you looked at my LinkedIn profile, give me the top 10 people who you want to get to know. Well, one of those people on the list is my business partner. His name is Chris Robinette. Long story short, she's now working for our team. So can't make any promises, can't say that you're going to come work for us here in Nashville, Tennessee. But if you get the idea, it's a small world. Sometimes it's not what you know, but who you know. And I feel like I'm put on this planet to connect people. So hop on LinkedIn, hit me up, send me a friend request, and then basically I'll get to know you and we'll go from there. So this is a tremendous opportunity to get a jump start on the job placement opportunity as you guys start to do your future career. Sound good? Kyle, is that good? Anthony? Good? Tyler, good? All right, Chase, Isabella, and Jiro. So far, Tyler, Kyle, and Anthony, they have gold stars. You guys have no stars. So if you guys want to jump in, again, I have no clue if you're paying attention or not. So if you want to turn your camera on, you don't have to talk to me. You can use the chat function. But at least as I go through the material, I'm getting head nods. I'm engaging. Is that cool? So Chase, Isabella, and Jiro, if you guys can hear me. Jiro, looks like you're Audio is still doing the 3-dot deal, which means you need to click on that button. Hey, Isabella, nice to meet you. All right, and we got Chase. Come on, man, you can do it. And then Jiro, Jiro, you clicked on your button, you're good. Yeah, I'm all about shaming people and doing the right thing. I'm kidding. You guys are laughing with me. I love it. All right, so let's go. Jump into the material. So again, give me a thumbs up if you guys can see my screen and then we're on the same page. We're good. Anthony, we're good. Good. All right, sweet. So real quickly, let me give you guys my story, and then we're going to go through the presentation. So I'm John Richardson, born and raised here in Nashville, Tennessee. I never thought in a million years that I'd be in this career. To be honest, I majored in political science with a minor in Spanish at the University of Tennessee, who did really well in baseball this year in the College World Series, if you guys were following Tennessee baseball. And we had a heck of a football program last year as well, and then we choked later in the end of the season, but neither here nor there. I was supposed to be, as a political science major, working in DC or working in politics. But when I was in college, I had the best summer job a kid could have. I sold books and Bibles door to door, not for 1 summer or 2 summers, but I did for 5 summers. From that experience, I discovered that I love talking to strangers. So having this conversation with you guys today is this fills my tank in so many ways and makes me happy because I'm adding value to your life. Though I don't know y'all yet, my hope is that you come away with some information you're able to apply it to your life. So upon graduating from the University of Tennessee, came back to live and work. Worked for a company called John Hancock, so long-term care insurance. You're going to see the slides in a second. In fact, let me just go ahead and jump into it. Here we go. So what I'm going to cover with you guys today, again, is my career journey, the career options, challenges, why financial planning. I do fee-based financial planning. This is what I do for a living. We'll talk about that versus other options of the process, and then we'll open the floor for questions. So I kind of jumped right into my career journey, but if you look on the screen, you'll kind of see the boxes where my story started. Again, after graduating from UT, came back to Nashville to live and work. Worked for a company by the name of John Hancock. Give me a thumbs up if you've heard of John Hancock, you know, the guy that signed the Constitution. Yep. Okay. Big old, well, they're an insurance company. They took the name from him, and of course they're based over in the Boston, Massachusetts area. So I started my career back in 2002, and it's hard to believe we're in year 2023, still going strong. I did take a break though. After about 9 months of being in the insurance business, after beating my head against the wall for a solid 9 months, I decided that selling long-term care insurance wasn't my thing. So I left the industry, put my resume out there, and I went to work for a guy by the name of Dave Ramsey. Again, raise your hand if you guys have ever heard of Dave Ramsey on the radio. No? You got a couple? Okay. So I was part of his live events team. I'm on the phone talking to business leaders and people from all over the US, telling them on who Dave is, their message of hope, and why they'd want to host him live via satellite. And the second year, I had the best summer job. I had the best job a kid could have at the age of 28. Basically, I traveled all over the US as a traveling cheerleader for Dave and his team. So 2 months before Dave would be in a city, I would fly into a city. I would host a luncheon, get folks excited about Dave Ramsey's live event. Then they would go back to their respective group, and then they would sell a whole bunch of tickets, and we'd sell out these 5,000, 10,000, 15,000 seat auditoriums. And that was my job. But after 2 years of working with Dave and working for the man, I decided, you know what, I want to be the man and kind of start my career path. And I love the idea of coaching people, but I wanted to get compensated for it. So I then exited working as a W-2 employee for Dave Ramsey and went to work on my own as a self-employed person with AXA Advisors, which I started in 2005. This is where a lot of you guys are kind of entering the workplace. So I actually entered into this career twice. Once, no investment licensing, just selling long-term care insurance. Out of the business for a couple of years, then came back in 2005. At that point, the company I worked with, which was AXA Advisors, required me to pick up my life and health insurance license, my securities license for the Series 7 and the Series 66. Raise your hand if you know what a Series 7 is or 66. Nobody. Okay, good. Well, except for Emily, of course. So nowadays, you would take what's called, and you want to take notes as I'm sharing these ideas. Make this time valuable. Take as many notes as you possibly can so that when we get to the question section, you can fire away with questions. And also you can start the process. The SIE exam, which I don't know what that stands for, but it's kind of like an entry level into the investment world. You study, you take a test, and then that gets you prepared to take your either Series 6 or Series 7. Series 6 is geared towards mutual funds. Series 7 means you can sell anything that's investment related pretty much. And then the 66 is our state laws and so forth. So you, in order to help your clients with and give investment advice, you have to get these credentials and these licensing in place. So I did that. And for 10 years, after I got my proper licenses, I went off and I started offering my services to realtors all across the state of Tennessee, northern Mississippi, and so forth. So about 25 or so different real estate offices. So every Tuesday morning, you would find me at a different real estate office. And much like a bee that cross-pollinates, I would drive to that and I would be there at their office at 8 o'clock for their sales meeting. I'd pass out interest sheets, collect them back, and then I'd separate the wheat from the chaff. And I would look at the sheets that people had checked boxes and I would meet with them one-on-one to help them purchase term life insurance, set up a SEP retirement account, to open up an account to help them save for taxes, whatever their needs are. That's what I did. It was very transactional in nature. And I did that for about 10 years. After about that, I got to a place, and this may happen in your career, where you get to a place where you're kind of like, you know what, enough's enough. I want to do something different. I don't want to leave the industry. I just want to reinvent myself and do the industry differently. So in 2015, I left working in that transactional model and went to a financial planning model, which is with Guardian and which the company I joined, which is Peachtree Planning. Much like, instead of a person doing transactional business, we would sit down, we would gather a ton of their information, and we would put together a financial plan. And then on the back end, there would be no fee on the front, but on the back end, they would then implement the insurance or the investment solutions we would recommend. And I did that model for about 4 years, and I enjoyed it. However, in the back of my head, I thought, you know what? I want to be like an attorney. I want to be like a doctor. I want to be able to charge for my time and know that people will take me, because I've been doing this for so long and I'm serious about this career, that they'll basically pay me and compensate me for my time, not necessarily just because I help them implement a product or a solution. So in 2019 to the present, I made a shift to Mass Mutual. I'm a part of a team called Lighthouse Planning. And if you actually click off my video, you'll see the logo that pops up. But what we do is called fee-based financial planning. Fee-based financial planning means that I get the best of both worlds. One, I get to charge a fee for my time. So when a person chooses our team and chooses me to help them plan for their future, I know I'm going to get paid a fee for my time. Our fees start out, there's basically 4 different levels: $3,000, $6,000, $12,000, and $24,000 a year. Sounds like a lot of money, but there's folks who are making a lot of money who need some good, strong coaching and advice. And so if you're just getting started in life at $3,000, which is basically $250 a month, we pretty much, anybody can afford $250 a month for professional advice. And then we go through your whole story, get to know where you are, and then at the back end, help you implement the appropriate solution, insurance, investment, and so forth. And then we do life together, and we hold you accountable to your life and to make sure that we're on track. So that's just kind of gives you guys a snapshot of my story. So as you can tell, went from transactional business, selling long-term care insurance, getting out of the business, working for a guy who's an advocate, kind of like a coach, but not really in the business, but help working on the team, kind of as a W-2 employee, to getting back into the business, but doing transactional business, then in shifting over into planning. And then the 5th final step is doing fee-based planning. So you can see over my career since 2002, I've experienced 5 different facets of this career. Does that make sense? So that gives you guys an idea of what I've been through. And now you understand why Emily asked me to speak today. Because it hasn't been just a one stop and get in one lane and stay in that lane. It's been a story along the way. So again, just a quick recap. The career options that you guys have in your future. One is an insurance agent. This is what I did when I worked for John Hancock selling long-term care insurance. We didn't talk about investments. We didn't talk about holistic planning. We just talked about the fact that at some point in their future, statistically, there's a 50% chance that they wouldn't be able to perform 2 out of the 6 activities of daily living, which are bathing, continence, dressing, eating, transferring, or toileting. And or they had a cognitive impairment or dementia. It's like they would need to go to a nursing home, or they need to have home health or whatever. They didn't want their loved ones to take care of them and have to provide that service. So they would want somebody else to pay for it. So this is what an insurance person does, is they define the need and they sell the product to fill the need. Shifting gears, financial advisor is a person that goes through a process, finds the appropriate solution. You go from couple products to looking at the bigger picture. Still not charging for your time, but you find the bigger picture. You look at not just 1 or 2 areas, but a bunch of different areas, and you find the right solution. And the third one is a financial planner. This is a person who puts together a plan. And then based upon what the plan says, you then find the appropriate product or solution to fill in the back end. So those are the 3 phases of career options. And as you can tell, I've been through all 3 of those. Property and casualty insurance agent is a person that sells car, owner's insurance, umbrella liability protection. I don't do this, but I refer to people that are NAIFA members that take care of my clients in the property and casualty space, just to make sure that my clients' needs are met when it comes to cars and so forth. Life insurance, absolutely. Oftentimes, folks, if I could give you guys any advice, when you graduate from college and you get your first job, buy as much cheap term life insurance or budget-friendly term life insurance and income protection or long-term disability insurance as you can get. Because at some point in your life, we all pass away. We know that's going to happen. But what we don't know is going to happen is when we'll become uninsurable. I've had clients who are in their late 20s or in their mid 30s. I've had people in their 50s. At some point, something happens to your health and you're no longer insurable. So if you lock in a bunch of budget-friendly, cheap term insurance that costs you like 15, 20 bucks a month when you're young and healthy, you don't have to worry about that date when you become uninsurable because you got it ahead of time. Give me a thumbs up if you heard what I just said. That's critical, important. Even if you don't take my advice from a career advice, I just helped you guys plan for your own personal future. And so lock in as much cheap term insurance and income protection, long-term disability insurance when you're young and healthy. Your health insurance agent, this is a person that deals in health insurance. Again, I'd have a guy as a NAIFA member, I delegate that to. The Affordable Care Act, also known as Obamacare, changed the marketplace. I used to get paid 150 bucks per policy sold. Now I get paid 15. And so I have to do 10 times the work to make the same kind of income. So I shifted my effort and I delegate that to a person. That's all they do. They love it. I love it that they love it because that's not my space, but it is. Those are the roles of an insurance agent. As a financial advisor, there's 2 career paths. One is with a broker dealer, and the other one is a registered investment advisor. A broker dealer is what most of you guys, if you enter this career, will probably start off with. These are companies that are your large mutual companies or companies that are your main, that have a sales force. These folks will train you, teach you how to prospect, how to get into business, how to stay in the business, how to build a system. Perhaps at some point in the future, you shift over to what's called a registered investment advisor. Once you have an investment license and you've got assets under management, you got what's called a book of business. You've got 100, 200 or so clients. You've got maybe 50 million or more, 100 million or more in assets under management. You've got something. At that point, you don't need the support of a traditional broker dealer, which is more hands-on. You just need the flexibility and freedom to kind of go and do your own thing. So that's what the RIA space is for. But usually people don't do that till much later in their career. I would normally pause here and ask for questions, but we'll save the questions to the end. And so if you had questions about this topic, which we've had in the past, just make a note and I can unpack that later in more detail. Financial planner. Again, there's basically 2 types. There's a fee only and then there's a fee based. What I talked about in my career, I am what's called a fee based financial advisor because I get the best of both worlds. One, you're going to pay me for my knowledge and my time, and we're going to put a plan together and we're going to walk you through that plan to make sure it's properly implemented. And 2, the solutions that we implement, I earn what's called, a commission off the insurance or the annuities or the investments or whatever solution that we implement on the back end. A fee-only advisor does not receive compensation. They don't have those insurance licenses or broker-dealer relationships. They don't get commission. They just basically charge for their time, but there's not the implementation. So there's no wrong way of doing it. Everybody has a different style. My personal preference is fee-based. but perhaps maybe in 15 or 20 years, yeah, I may shift to a fee only, but everybody, you'll find your own career path, much like if you ever played the sport baseball, raise your hand if you ever played baseball, whether you're a kid or, you know, I'm talking about, okay, I've got a few. So when it comes to baseball, you kind of know, am I more of a person who's behind home plate, catching the balls like a catcher? Am I the guy that wants to get a lot of action? I'm on first base. Pitches are always coming to me to put a person out at first. Or do I like being out in the outfield? I'm really fast and quick, and I like running around, but my involvement's minimal. So you find out what is your niche, you find out what career path and what works best for you and your personality, and then you just find that space. The unique thing about NAIFA is that your NAIFA involvement, you will meet every person I just talked about, whether they're insurance or a financial planner or financial advisor, you're going to meet them all. And so as you get to do life with these different people, if you find that the path I'm on right now is not mine, it's not where I want to be long-term, you can interview these people and then make a shift and still stay in the business and still take care of your family and provide for your future and do something that you love and enjoy, serving your clients, helping them improve their situation, adding value to their life, but also taking care of yourself. So where to work? There are basically different options. Insurance agency is a traditional brokerage or a company that basically they hire you, you work for them. Insurance-based broker dealer. This would be a company that's like one of the larger mutual companies, such as like a Mass Mutual or Northwestern Mutual or New York Life. These are companies where they have a backbone of what they do is built around life insurance, which is good because remember what I said earlier, you want to make sure that you have a nice foundation. You have a plan in place, but you also have protection in place to make sure that if for some reason you were to pass away tomorrow and you're not here, your family is going to be taken care of. If today was payday, but today was your last payday because you got sick or hurt and you can't work, you know that your family is taken care of. These are the conversations that we have with our clients, and again, with an insurance-based broker dealer, these are the conversations we have. The independent broker dealer is open architecture, and there's a lot of companies that kind of straddle the line between the two. We actually have insurance relationship with a broker dealer, but we also have the ability to go outside the box if we need be to find independent solutions. And so that's that. A wirehouse and a bank are typically folks that want to work only in investments, or a bank is a person that wants to be a W-2 employee. You want to clock in, you want to clock out, you want a stable paycheck. But from a commission standpoint, if you're in my space, your commissions are here. If you're at a bank, your commissions are down here. The difference between the two is a steady paycheck, but at some point you work hard. And if you're a goal-driven, high-achieving type personality, you're not going to find, in my opinion, long-term happiness in the banking channel because you could make a lot more money and help a lot more people in the insurance-based broker dealer or in any of these other ones. But if you're like, hey, look, I just want to help people and I want a steady paycheck and I want security, that perhaps more of the banking line would be in alignment with you. Again, there's no wrong answer. You just figure it out. And as you interview with different people, you figure out what's your best fit for you. If you're looking at your Myers-Briggs personality and you're an E and you're all about talking to strangers, perhaps some of the higher ones. If you're more like, I'm more introverted, I want people to come to me, I don't like to prospect, then maybe that banking side. Just to give you an idea. There's several challenges that financial advisors have in this career. This is a quick overview, which is basically most advisors cannot clearly articulate their value proposition. They don't have a system to consistently fill the top of their funnel. They don't have a true client service model, and they don't have residual income. So let's unpack these 4 areas. So the first challenge is, why should you become a financial advisor? Is the value proposition. As a financial planner, you help people more than just buying a product. So we're creating a plan, we're looking at the big picture, and I'm giving advice. Second, consumers are more educated than ever. If you go online, there is plenty of information. You just go to Google and you're like, how do I do this? Or go to YouTube and type in an idea. You're going to come up with thousands and thousands of ideas and pages on that information. So getting information is not a problem. The question is, how do I decide what information is practical and appropriate for me versus what's just good for somebody else in their situation? So having somebody in your life that can point in the right direction and help separate the truth from white noise And that's what a financial planner does with their clients. So while there's tons of information out there, it's how do you distill it down to the essence of what truly do I need for my life? Last but not least, again, financial advisor versus planner. Advisor, find a need, fill a need. Planner, it's focused on the plan first, and then we go find the solutions on the back end. So those are your value proposition question. Second challenge, again, is prospecting. When you get in this business, everybody's going to tell you, well, you're going to have this instinct, I should say. You're going to have this instinct to want to read everything and learn everything. And, I can't call my friends, or I can't talk to this person, that person, because I don't know what I'm talking about. Right. And that's a natural feeling. So you want to read and study and read and study. And before you know it, you've read and studied your way out of the business. And because it's not about necessarily your head knowledge as much as your heart knowledge, your ability to connect with the client, have a meaningful conversation with them. They're going to do business with you because they trust and like you, because you're an authentic human being who loves them unconditionally where they are. And they know that. And you put their goals and their dreams and aspirations above your own, because people can sense if you're being authentic or if you're being fake, right? And so what you do is you have a real conversation with a person, but you'll say, but John, I don't know anything about this or that. Hey, guess what? We've all had our first day on the job. What you do is you bring somebody with you who's older and wiser, perhaps with no hair and gray hair, that knows what they're talking about, and you trust them. And so you come to the table, you have that heart level conversation with them, and you bring the person in who's a subject matter expert to unpack. And by the way, you're going to split whatever income comes from that, whatever commission comes from that, because that is the tuition you're paying to learn this business. Give me a thumbs up if that makes sense. Chase, all right, cool. Awesome, welcome, Chase. So that's just part of the deal. And people are like, well, I don't want to split my commissions. I'd rather have 50% of something than 100% of nothing. And I can be honest and tell you, there's been moments in my life where I got greedy and I was thinking it's all about me. I'm smart enough. I'm clever enough. I'm good looking enough. I can close this deal. I can make the client want to work with me on my own. And they said, thanks, but no thanks, John. And that's heartbreaking, because I'm thinking, why was I so prideful? Why didn't I just put myself aside and bring some? And so now a lot of my meetings, I bring in a second person, and I, without hesitating, because I know that I'm a good fit for some people, but I'm not a good fit for everyone. So if I find somebody who's got a personality style that's different than mine, I bring them to the table to connect with them. Does that make sense? So when it comes to prospecting, it's not about what you know, it's about getting butts and seats, getting people, fight like crazy to get in front of people. And then when you get, it's like you're sprinting as hard as you can. And then once you get in front of that person, slow it down, fully engage at a heart level conversation, and move the conversation from a head level to a heart level and be present with them. So find clients who are attracted to your value proposition. I just shared with you guys my value proposition very slyly, which is I want to be known fully, and I want to know my clients fully. I want to go from a head level to a heart level conversation. I feel like I've been put on this earth to make an impact in their life and add value to their life. And the only way I'm going to do that is to truly know them as a person. Forget all the insurance solutions, forget all the investment solutions. Those will come. They're not going to listen to me. The details don't matter if they don't understand the big picture. But once they understand the big picture, and the big picture is I care about you, Mr. or Mrs. Klein, and your story, they get it. And they're like, they're going to say, I need your help. What should I do? Once they say that, it's off to the races from there. Then you systematically walk them through your process, fill that need, or if you have a planning process, walk them through that process. There's two areas that a lot of clients, folks like myself, work with. First are first generation wealthy people. These perhaps are young professionals. They didn't come into wealth from their family. They've worked hard for it. Or an acronym is a Henry. It's high earning, not rich yet. So a person they're making money. They perhaps have a lot of student loan debt. So guess what? I'm going to coach them up about their student loan debt. Right now, the federal government is on deferment of the student loans, but guess what? It's about to get started up again. The Supreme Court just ruled on it. The $10,000 is not happening for students. These are real-time things that happen with our clients. And as a planner, my job is to be up and know what's going on and have those conversations with my clients to position them to win. And what's great is people want to know, how do I get more business? Your best clients come from your best clients. And so if you have a client that you know and love, and they love and know you, they become raving fans and they introduce you to people, and you don't have to spend thousands and thousands of dollars trying to market yourself to complete strangers. Just treat people like they're your family. If you have a house and you got a guest room, and if you messed up their finances, they're moving into that guest bedroom. You have that sense of urgency to do it right. Your attitude is totally different than a person who's just trying to sell a product and then move on. That's if you have a heart of a teacher, not a salesperson, as my previous employer, Dave Ramsey, would say, you're in the right space. Third situation is a client service model. You need to have that built into your planning process. We're going to go over quickly the different boxes that we cover through our planning process. But at the end of the day, people need to know that they're buying you, your expertise, and they're buying into a planning process, and they need to be coachable. I've let clients go who think they know more, or they got it figured out because they like to do it themselves. They like to research on YouTube, and perhaps they don't need a financial advisor. They just need a friend to kind of say, yeah, it sounds great. But at the end of the day, I want people who are open-minded, coachable, that are hungry to learn, and I want to do life with them. I'm passionate about them. They're passionate about me. They know that my dog's name is Piper, and I know that their dog's name is Dexter, right, Emily? And so because we're doing life together, we truly know each other as people, and it's not just a transaction. Help clients accomplish more. You're adding value to your clients. Again, you need to have a service model that's focused on their needs, because again, people crave authentic relationships. They have their guard up. They don't know how to be authentic. This is where you lead by example. This is where you share your story. This is where you get authentic and real. If you've been through a divorce, if you've been through a challenging situation, show empathy, show that you care about that person. They can identify with you, and they're like, oh, you too? I've had that situation happen in my life. Let's build a life together. And then it automatically creates the need for renewal, because people want more. If you go see a movie, like a couple of years ago, there was a movie called Top Gun. If you guys, give me a thumbs up if you guys saw that movie, Top Gun, at the movie theater. Dude, that was like one of the best movies I've seen in a long time. I don't go to the theaters that often because everything these days is streaming. But I wanted to watch that movie a second time because it had all the patriotic, checked all the boxes. It was super cool, reminded me of the original. And so when you go see a quality movie, you want to go see it again. When you create a quality experience for your clients, they'll want to renew with you and want to continue doing life with you. And the best thing about renewal is renewal income. And so how you generate renewal income or residual income is there's different ways. One is through planning fees, and the other one's through assets under management. If you've got $20 million in assets under management and they're paying you 1%, which is on average what financial advisors would charge, your income off of $20 million is $200,000 in annual revenue. Does that make sense? So if a bunch of clients give you a bunch of money and that total money equals $20 million and you charge a 1% annual flat fee, then you know on January 1st every year, your income is going to be $200,000. So you don't have to restart the clock and have to go hunt, leave the cave, hunt it, and drag it home. You know every year you got income coming in. Give me a thumbs up if you guys understand that concept. This is super huge because most folks in the insurance space, they just got to go kill and drag it in. And I'd rather you guys learn how to build a residual business from day one. Second was with planning clients. This is keeping it on the low end. Remember, I told you that my starting fee is $3,000, but let's say my starting fee was only $2,000. And I have 100 clients that every year pay me $2,000. Again, that's another $200,000 in revenue. So if I built up a business over a period of about, maybe I picked up 20 new clients a year, and I had 100 clients. So over 5 years, I picked up this business. And this is a 5-year plan, basically. You've created for yourself $400,000 in recurring revenue, and that business continues to grow year after year as the stock market goes up. Now, notice it says revenue and it doesn't say income. There's a top line revenue is money coming in the door, but you know who I have to pay for is a staff. Do you know who gets paid before John Richardson gets paid? My wife, Kelly. She expects me to take care of our family needs before I get to do fun things like buy tabletop strategy board games or add to my bourbon collection or buy bow ties. Or anything I like to do, but you get the idea. So you want to create a system in place where you can take care of those folks that you love first, and then you get taken care of on the back end. The process, these are the 6 quadrants, which is an introduction meeting. You get to know a person's heart and their story, define the goals, figure out what's important to them. You're going to gather information. We have a checklist. We take all that information, we enter it into a program called eMoney. We then have a conversation excuse me, about their story today and where they want to be. We deliver their plan, and then from that plan, we then implement the appropriate product or solution. So as you can tell, there's a process. This is an oversimplification of the process. There's a lot more involved with this, but just for today's sake, I wanted to give you guys an overview. Each person, they go through the same process. I don't care if it's through a referral or it's a person off the street, or I'm at a 4th of July Independence Day festival and I meet somebody. They're going to go through the same process every time. And anywhere along the way, I'm constantly checking them. It's making sure that they're on pace and that we're on the same page together. Because again, we're doing life together. It's important to know that. Monitoring process, make sure that you're updating the process of where they're growing with investments. Implementation, we're checking in. This is on a bi-monthly basis. So every couple of months, we're basically checking, make sure we're on track. We do an annual review to make sure that their investments are still in alignment with the risk tolerance questionnaire. Your risk tolerance is your personality. If you're an aggressive investor, you want to make sure your investments are also leaning aggressive. You don't want to have an aggressive investor with their investments being moderate or conservative, because then they're going to be underwhelmed by the performance. But you don't want to have a super conservative investor with aggressive investments, because then they're going to be stressed out when the market dips and so forth. eMoney is a financial planning software tool that we use to keep people on track. We discuss changes and we formulate new steps, and then we ask for renewal, renew the plan, and also ask for introductions to people they need to meet. So as we land the plane, we live in a culture full of hares, but the tortoise always wins. Again, if you build a business and you systematically build it the right way, you wake up 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, looking back thinking, yeah, it stunk at times. I remember buying my fruit from Aldi, taking a Sharpie marker and writing my name, John, on my bananas at the office, because I didn't want anybody stealing my fruit. Because I literally had a couple $100 to eat for food. That was my entire food budget. And when I got started in the business, now I don't worry about that as much, because I've been doing this for a while. But if you help put other people's needs first, and you just have a real conversation with them at a heart level, at the end of the day, things have a way of working out. And when you're not happy with your current setup, look at your situation. Don't leave the industry. Ask yourself, how can I restructure what I'm doing? Fire the old you, hire the new you, and reposition yourself on a new path in this industry, much like I did. In summary, I had 5 different career paths I've taken over the last, since 2002. And I love what I'm doing now, because it's the best of both worlds. Now, that's not to say I may be doing this 5 or 10 years from now. Who only knows? But for right now, my clients love it. I'm here. I love that I'm here. My dog Piper, my wife Kelly, it's a good fit. Does that make sense? So with that, the floor is open for questions. Tyler, I know you were taking some notes. I read your body language. And so feel free to fire away. Anthony, same thing. Isabella, Chase. And I'm going to get rid of my video so I can see y'all smiling faces. And so the floor is open. And if there's no questions, again, go to LinkedIn. Actually, if y'all want to hop on your phone right now, go to LinkedIn, look me up, John D. Richardson. My name is in the bottom left-hand corner. I'm not trying to sell you guys anything. I just want you guys to be a rock star in this industry. If anything I'm selling you on is become a NAIFA member, I think it's what, $50, Emily? Yeah, that's nothing. I pay $64 a month, I think, something like that, to be a member as a full-time professional. But once you get $50 a year, and then once you're in your first year in the business, I think it's like $10 a month, and then incrementally steps up from there. And so when you're making money, you don't worry about it, because you're paying your dues. It's kind of like if you were a doctor, you would belong to the medical association. If you're an attorney, bar association. Well, in our industry, it's NAIFA. This is where you belong, and get to come to DC, meet with members of Congress, have a conversation with the U.S. congressman, which is really cool. Seems intimidating at first, but then you realize that, hey, they're normal people just like me. And then you get to go back home and you get to name drop. And you're like, hey, I was hanging out with Congressman so-and-so the other day, and people think you're a big deal. And again, it's not a big deal. They're normal people. But the fact that you're at the table with the largest, the number one, the oldest financial services industry group on the nation, and you got like 500-600 people strong is pretty amazing. So I gave you guys a few extra moments to think. Looks like I got some questions here in the chat. So, Oh, these are Emily's questions.
Those just Emily's color commentary.
Okay, so floor is open. If you don't have any questions, that's totally cool. Otherwise, I'll call on you. You can give me a thumbs up if you're good. So Tyler, got any questions? Are you good? You're good?
So,
All right.
so John, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
I don't know that I don't know. So John and I know each other fairly well. Obviously, he called out my dog's name earlier, so you know that you know somebody well if they know the name of your dog. But so when you graduated from UT, what did you think that you were going to do as a profession?
I thought I'd be in DC or working in politics. And I realized, and it's funny because I'm you, as you know me personally, I am involved in politics here in Tennessee. There's two types of people in politics. There's those folks who are a part of the machine, so to speak, that are part of the bureaucracy, the deep state. I'm kidding. The people that are basically, they're all the inner workings of the machine. I was thinking I was going to be part of that. And then the other part of politics are the candidates. These are the people who actually have a chance to vote on behalf of a body, a group of constituents that they represent. If you have interest in politics, like I did back in the day, you have to decide, do I want to be in part of the machine, be a cog or a wheel in the big machine, or do I want to be the candidate? Well, if you want to be the candidate, then you have to build a business for yourself, build a reputation for yourself, put down roots in the community, get involved, make a difference in the world around you. And then at some point, when you have a story that makes sense, raise your hand, run for political office. You kind of know the mechanics, but more importantly, you have built a career, you built your character so that people get to a place they say, yes, I know, trust, and like this person. I want them to represent me in this elected body, whatever that elected body is, because they're just like me and they represent me and my values. So that's that. So the answer to your question, Emily, is I was going to be involved in politics, and I'm 45 now. It's taken a minute from graduating. I guess I was like 22. So it's taken 23 years to kind of circle back, but I've been focusing on this part of my career, which is building it up so that I could then do the political thing later in life.
Makes sense.
All right, Isabella, what questions do you have? You're good?
Oh, there's one got one in the chat, John.
All right, Chase. All right, I understand you probably don't know much what do you think most effective during business? Okay, well, here's the deal. You're always prospecting, always. The difference is this: there's people when I was starting in the business, my first client was a friend of mine, the lady I was dating at the time, her best friend. And she was like, hey, can you open up a Roth IRA for me? I was like, okay. And it was $50 a month. And I think I made $3, a year off that. So I made very little money off that account. And then the next 40 or so clients, I was working for Dave Ramsey by day, but at night I was parking cars at the Embassy Suites as a valet. Because Dave Ramsey has this thing, you got to pay off all your debt and live like no one else so you can live like no one else, you know what I'm talking about? So when I transitioned from working for Dave into this career, I had all these valets, all these guys who are hustling, parking cars, very cash heavy. I'm like, dude, what are you doing to save for your retirement? And they're like, what are you talking about? I was like, you need to get with me. Look, I'm just like you, but I'm transitioning this business. And so a lot of my first clients were valets, parking cars. You get the idea. And so as I've gotten older in this career, I've shifted and I've worked with different people. Right now, my ideal client is somebody that just got slapped in the face by life. They just had a dramatic or traumatic life event, whether it's a divorce or I've had two clients last year that both had brain tumors. One just passed away a few months ago or a month or so ago, and the other one's still kicking and doing fine. But literally when they got the diagnosis, they're like, what do I do? I'm about to lose my employment. My spouse is scared. I need financial peace. I need to have confidence knowing that I'm going to be okay. And so those people, I just loved on them and they've introduced me to other people. So when you start in this business, you make what's called a Project 200. You'll make a list of about 200 people. The company you work with, they're going to say, make a list of all your friends and family. And you're going to want to hesitate to call them. Remember the conversation about the person next to you. Just do it. they know, like you, and some people you think would work with you, they're going to be like, they're going to pat you on the head and say, I'll wait till you've been doing this 2 years, then I'll come work with you. And you say, thanks, I'll see you in 2 years. And then on 2 years and a day, you call them up and they're like, remember, you patted me on the head and say, when I grew up, well, I'm all grown up now. Let's go. I'm killing it. You need to work with me. And they're like, look at you. You're still in the business. Okay. And then they give you their business and it grows. But make a list, go see those people. But then at some point, you're going to find your niche. And that's when you find people that you work well with. I don't work well with people that are high stress, that are overbearing, people that are can be kind of difficult. I want to deal with somebody who comes from a heart place. They have a story. They have a brokenness in their story and they're hurting. And I'm helping them through this season of life, the storm that they're in. And on the back end, we form these friendships where I'm their guy, they're my client, we're tight. Because whether it was they're on the back end of a divorce, and they're trying to figure out which ends up and try to make a good situation, bad situation better. But you get the idea. So Chase, did I answer your question? Yeah. Okay.
And Chase, one thing I would encourage you to do, and this will benefit everybody who's in here and even the people who are watching on demand, but ask that to all of our presenters throughout this, because you're going to get a different answer for all of that. And so then, you can find out, what the thing works for you, that worked for John, but tomorrow, next week, we've got Kathleen, and she probably has a completely different story. And I know Derek Sheets, who you'll meet in the third week, he has a completely different story. So that's a really great question. So I would just encourage you to keep asking that each week as we go along. But let's see. And Jero's got a question in there for you, chat, John.
All right, Jero, my mystery person who I can't see because the screen's black and it's giving you a hard time. For someone pursuing their undergraduate degree in finance, do you have any recommendations for what are basic things to help in securing internships and solid employment after graduation? Yes. What you do is, first thing you do is join NAIFA. Done. Once you do that, and you've now opened up a box of I don't know how many thousands and thousands of folks in our industry that are going to be big fans of yours, and they see that you're eager to want to get in this career, and you find out what part of town you want to have an internship, what kind of work you want to do, and they're going to cheer you on and they're going to introduce you to people. True story. I've had, I don't know, maybe in this last year, probably 15 or so conversations. It started off with just 1 or 2, and then I got really good at it. Now all I do is just basically interview people for fun, introduce them to people in my LinkedIn network, and then I pick them up on the phone. We call up the person and I chit chat for a minute, and they're like, "Hey, John, how's your mom and them?" And I'm like, "Hey, good, blah, blah, blah. Hey, by the way, I've got Emily on the phone here. She's she's graduating from Mississippi State. She's looking to work in this part of town. Do you mind making a connect?" "Oh, absolutely." They chit chat for a bit. I just made a connection. It's not so much what you know, it's who you know. So whether it's through me or through another NAIFA member, connect me on LinkedIn. I've got I don't know how many different people on my LinkedIn profile. Find people you want to meet. I'd be happy to make the introduction to you. I'm not going to introduce you to all 10. We're going to have a conversation. I'm going to find out which 2 or 3 are probably the best fit. And then I'm going to make the personal phone call for you and give you a leg up, which is not normal. But hey, you took the time out of your busy life to come join Emily and hang out with us. So if I can network you and get you a jump start on your career, why not?
So John, if you're like building a resume, as a student looking to get an internship, you as somebody who would be interested in interns, what types of things are you looking for on their resume?
So everybody wants to see experience when you're getting hired, but guess what? We all have our first day on the job and we all have no experience when we start, right? So finding something that has sales experience where if you're working with somebody and they're kind of showing you the way, that's probably the best way. So experience is a big thing that most future employers are looking for. What else? Coachability is another thing. If your stick-to-itiveness is another thing. If you've done anything hard, if you have a civic mind, if you give in your community, if you're involved in your community, I know that Emily, I want to say the Justice League. It's not the Justice League because that's Superman. what's the junior league, right? Yeah, sorry. So Emily, you're super involved in the junior league, and I think that's a great thing. And so if you're young in your career, go get involved in things that you're passionate about. For me, I'm an Eagle Scout. And so scouting is a big part of my story. And so for me, volunteering, giving back to an organization that gave me so much, and I've stayed involved with scouting and have continued to move and get involved in different capacities, throughout my career. But I've prospected and I've met cool people through my scouting experience, and they know me and they know it's personal first, and then we happen to do business on the back end. And so what you're looking to do is add things to your resume that kind of share your story, so that when a person picks up this sheet of paper, they're trying to get rid of you. You want something that's going to basically separate you from other people. So doing things that are hard and not easy, doing things that are showing that you care about others first than yourself. To me, that's what would stick out. And your goal, and you're oriented, driven, and you have a no quit, whatever it takes, get things done. I want to win and serve people kind of attitude. That's you want to win for the client. And then by helping the client meet their needs, you meet your needs as well. So.
Yeah, and again, I think that that's another great question to ask of all of our hosts, I guess, participants, this in this session, because again, everybody's going to have different things that they look for. And, part of this whole experience is to hear from different perspectives and, and hear all these different fits and different ideas, because that just kind of shows you, NAIFA really does cover the umbrella of the entire insurance and financial services industry. And that's why we've got all these different people that you'll hear from and get to interact with. And like John said, don't just limit your LinkedIn connections to John, connect to me, connect with Kathleen, who will be next week, connect to Rick and Mimi and Derek and Chris.
Danny. Yeah, and can I give a quick plug on these people that are about to come up? Because I come first out of the gate, right? Okay, so your next person is Kathleen Owings. Kathleen, raise your hand if you know who David Goggins is. Please, somebody raise your hand. Okay, if you know who David Goggins is, you know that he's like the fiercest individual on the planet. He's not scared of anyone, right? I mean, he's like the real deal. Kathleen is like the female version of David Goggins. I mean, I won't steal her story, but Academy graduate, her story is just you sit back and you're like, she is like a real American hero, kind of like she's like a G.I. Joe action figure, kung fu grip, amazing financial advisor. And you just sit there and you're just like, holy cow, how has one person done so much in her life? She's like a modern day Forrest Gump. So you're going to have her next week. David Sheets has got Derek. I'm sorry, Derek. Yeah. Derek. It's got the coolest, if he still has, hopefully hasn't shaved it. It's got the coolest Magnum PI mustache you've ever seen. Tom Selleck would be proud. I mean, his stash is on point. When you meet him, he's brilliant. I believe he's up in Ohio. Got a great story, huge heart. His is a different facet of our industry. But seriously, when you see his mustache, you'd be like, dude, his mustache game's on point. Chris Gandy, I don't know if I can share this or not, but he's kind of a big deal. Played a little basketball in the NBA with a team called the Chicago Bulls. Played on the same team with a guy by the name of, I don't know if you've heard of Michael Jordan. You guys ever? And he's in our industry. This guy is legit. He is probably one of the coolest people. He's probably one of the, there's in your life, there's two words that come to mind. There's success and significance. Success is what you've done to add to your bottom line, to grow your business, and you're going to win awards and so forth. But success dies when you do. Significance is the impact you've left on this world, the dent you've made in the universe, the impact you've left in the lives of others. Chris Gandy is an example of a person who's been successful and a man of significance. And when you spend time with him, you'll see what I mean. He's amazing. Yeah, Anthony, you got a question?
Yeah, just want to start off with saying thank you for this talk. It was really insightful. But also wanted to say that awesome getting your Eagle Scout. I was a Life Scout for a while, but I aged out before I was able to get my Eagle Scout, unfortunately. But it is what it is. So I've been pursuing a career in finance for quite a while now, and I've been going out of my way to do different sort of activities such as this to kind of boost my chances. I've been I'm not sure if you guys have heard of the Amplified Planning externship, but I'm involved with that.
Okay.
Also going to the Next Gen meeting that's coming up in August for financial planners. And I've been doing a lot of different things like getting my certification in e-money and other sort of things that really just show that I'm passionate about the career and I'm interested in it. But unfortunately, it's been really, really hard to get the first steps, as in getting an internship and even getting an interview, to be quite frank.
Where do
But
you live? What part of town are you in?
Falls Church, Virginia.
Oh,
Virginia.
that's
Okay.
NAIFA's headquarters actually just moved from Falls Church to Arlington like 3 weeks ago. So yeah, so NAIFA's headquarters actually, so they're John and I know a lot of good people that we can hook you up with.
So write these names down. Brock Jolly, Brian Haney. Those are two near and dear guys. They're NAIFA guys. They're personal, they're friends. A lot of these people, NAIFA is not just an organization, it's a family. Once you get that, and once you're in the family a bit, you're like, oh yeah, and it's not tongue in cheek. It's like legit. People care about each other, and we know we do life together, but we also know we on business side, but also the personal side. So, link up on LinkedIn. I'd be happy to introduce you to those two guys. Brock's in the DC area, and so is Haney, and those guys are killing it, is putting it mildly. And if they can't help you with their respective firm, they would be happy to introduce you to somebody because they're right around the corner from you. And that's just two off the top of my head. If there's anybody else, if you want to go around the room, Chase, you can tell me where you're from and I can introduce you. Again, this is what we're here to do, is to help you guys jumpstart your career and get you guys on the path to success as quickly as possible. So those are two off the top of my head that I know that they should be able to help you out.
Great. I'll send you guys a message on LinkedIn.
Cool.
Yeah. Yeah. And depending on exactly where you want to go within that, DC's got a lot of great connections. So, and obviously you can come visit our office down in Arlington. So
great. I'll be sure
it's not just down the street anymore, but it's
Arlington's relatively close. I actually worked in Arlington for about 2 years now, but so it's not too far.
We're coming up on time. I want to make sure we go around the room. So Tyler, you gave me a thumbs up. You're good to go. No questions. Chase, you're good. Nice. Isabella, good. And Anthony, you're good. Kyle, any questions for me? And Jiro?
Yep. Jiro is in Boston Metro. Oh, we know some people in Boston Metro.
Okay, so Jiro, write this name down. Adam Sachs. Literally got
Josh O'Gara.
Josh O'Gara. Those are two guys all day long. These are they're about my age, so they're in their mid 40s, 50s. So they're in a place in their career where they're kind of like, hey, I could use a junior agent who I could delegate clients off to and kind of teach you. I mean, Luke Skywalker, he wasn't instantly a Jedi master. I mean, he was a Padawan, and Yoda and Obi-Wan had to train him up in the way of the Force. For him, do you guys any Star Wars fans? I got okay. Like I said, I play tabletop strategy board games. My inner nerd, I don't care. But nonetheless, you get the idea. You don't just come into the game being the hero. You got to kind of learn, and the quicker remember, the quicker you get connected. Yeah.
And then Rith is another good one in Massachusetts. Rith New, do you know her, John?
I do not yet.
Yeah. Well, next time I see you, I'll introduce you. She's
cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
But a bit up, and she's a little bit younger than Josh and Adam as well. She's with New York Life, but Rith and Ray are both in Massachusetts, and those are two other. So there, I just came up with 4 in Massachusetts. So awesome. Well, John, I know you've got a hard stop, so please again feel free to hit us up LinkedIn, however you need to connect with us. As John said and I said, that we've got Kathleen Owings next week, and looking forward to seeing all of you again. And you can see when you join live, you get a little more interaction and get some chances to really get to know each other and get to know our presenters. So as your schedule allows, I encourage you to join live. So thank you so much, and we'll see you next week.